Every July, garden centers across the country are packed with families loading up their carts. Bright blooms, healthy green leaves, price tags that look completely reasonable. Nobody stops them at checkout. Nobody pulls them aside. The plants go home, go in the ground, and life moves on. Here's what a lot of experienced homeowners, people who've been gardening for decades, were never actually told. Some of the most common, most attractive plants sold in nurseries right now are genuinely dangerous to kids, pets, and adults who don't know what they're looking at. Today we're going through 10 of them. And one plant near the end of this list is sitting quietly in yards from coast to coast right now, and almost nobody thinks twice about it. Welcome to Harvest Root, where we take practical, ground-level plant knowledge and hand it to you straight. No fluff, no fear-mongering, just what you actually need to know before you plant. Today we're breaking down 10 dangerous garden plants every homeowner should recognize before they plant anything else this July. Stick around, because the plant we reveal near the end is one of the most overlooked risks in ordinary backyards. And if you're new here, subscribe now. It's free. And this channel is built for people who actually want to understand their gardens, not just decorate them. Before we get into the list, if you find even one plant here that's already in your yard, tap that like button right now. It genuinely helps other gardeners find this before they plant something risky this weekend. Okay, let's get into it. Here's the real mistake most gardeners make, and it isn't about soil or timing. It's this. They assume that if a plant is sold openly at a mainstream nursery, it must be safe. That assumption is wrong. There's no federal requirement forcing garden centers to label a plant as toxic to humans or animals. Something that could send a child to the ER can sit on the same shelf as your tomato starts, with nothing on the tag but watering instructions. This isn't about scaring you away from gardening. It's about the 2 minutes of knowledge that changes how you shop, how you plant, and what you let grow near the people and animals you love. Every plant on this list is common. Everyone has ended up in someone's yard by accident, planted by a well-meaning homeowner who was never warned. Let's fix that. Plant 1. Oleander. Oleander gets planted for one reason. It's gorgeous, tough, and practically maintenance-free, especially as a hedge in warm climates. All of that is true. What's also true, and rarely mentioned at checkout, is that oleander is considered one of the most toxic ornamental plants grown anywhere, relative to how little it takes to cause real harm. Every part of the plant contains compounds called cardiac glycosides, which can trigger dangerous heart rhythm problems, vomiting, and in serious cases, life-threatening cardiac events. It's not a plant that just upsets your stomach. Poison control centers in warm climate states take oleander exposure seriously. It grows well from the Gulf Coast through the Southwest, Southern California, Texas, and Florida, and in sheltered spots further north. It's sold under names like standard oleander and smaller shrub varieties marketed for compact hedges. The mistake people make is treating it like background landscaping that pets and kids simply ignore. They don't. Dogs and cats are highly sensitive to it, and kids who handle the branches and then touch their mouths are at real risk. Even the smoke from burning oleander clippings is toxic, so it shouldn't go in a backyard fire pit. If you already have oleander and there are small children or pets around, this is the moment to think about placement, a physical barrier, or replacing it altogether. Plant 2. Foxglove. If you've ever flipped through a garden catalog, you've seen foxglove. Tall, dramatic spikes of purple, pink, and cream, looking like something out of a cottage garden fantasy. What the catalog won't tell you is that foxglove is the original plant source of digoxin, a powerful heart medication that, in its raw plant form, is highly toxic. The whole plant is poisonous: leaves, flowers, seeds, roots. Even a small amount of fresh leaf can cause nausea, confusion, and dangerous heart irregularities. Kids are especially at risk because the bell-shaped flowers practically invite little fingers to explore them. Foxglove grows almost everywhere in the country, from Pacific Northwest shade gardens to northeastern borders and mountain state landscapes. The common purple variety is everywhere. A yellow-flowered version is also increasingly popular at specialty nurseries. Same risk profile. The real trap here is that foxglove self-seeds aggressively. One plant can produce dozens of volunteer seedlings the following year, popping up in vegetable beds or play areas where nobody expects them. If you love the look but have young kids, a tall lupine gives you similar height and drama with a much safer profile. Plant 3. Lantana. Lantana is one of the best-selling summer color plants anywhere. It's in every hanging basket, every 4-inch pot, every color combo from orange to pink to yellow. It's drought-tolerant, heat-loving, and blooms all season. It's also one of the plants most frequently linked to cat poisoning cases. The danger is in the berries. small clusters that shift from green to dark purple as they ripen. Unripe green berries are actually more concentrated with toxic compounds than the ripe ones, which makes the risk unpredictable across the whole season. Cats are especially vulnerable to liver damage from ingesting them, dogs somewhat less so. In kids, eating the berries causes gastrointestinal distress, and larger amounts can cause more serious effects. Lantana is everywhere, grown as a perennial in warm zones and as an annual almost everywhere else, including both upright and trailing varieties used in baskets. The problem is, its popularity creates a false sense of safety. If you've got outdoor cats or young kids in the yard, either keep it out of reach or swap it for something like pentas, which gives you the same sun-loving color with a much safer profile. Quick pause. Drop your state in the comments, along with which of these plants you're pretty sure is already growing somewhere on your property. I read these, and I'll reply with info specific to your growing zone. Plant 4. Angel's Trumpet. This next one produces some of the most dramatic flowers you'll ever see in a home garden. Huge, fragrant, trumpet-shaped blooms that hang downward from a shrub that can reach 15 feet in warm climates. It's completely legal to buy and grow, and it's sold openly. It's also one where almost nobody tells you what's actually in it. Angel's Trumpet contains a group of compounds called tropane alkaloids across every part of the plant: flowers, leaves, seeds, bark, roots. These aren't compounds that just cause an upset stomach. They affect the central nervous system, causing confusion, hallucinations, rapid heart rate, and in severe cases, coma. It's also a plant that occasionally gets misused intentionally by teenagers who look up its effects online, which makes it a more complicated risk than most ornamentals. It thrives outdoors year-round in the warmest states, and is commonly grown as a container plant elsewhere, brought inside for winter, meaning it shows up in home gardens across a much wider range than people realize. If you're growing this and have teenagers in the house, it's worth an honest conversation. If you love the tropical drama but want something safer, a large standard hibiscus delivers similar visual impact without the risk. Plant 5. English Yew. Yew hedges have been trimmed into shape outside churches, government buildings, and tidy suburban yards for generations. If you grew up in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, or Pacific Northwest, there's a good chance a yew hedge was part of your childhood landscape, and a good chance nobody ever mentioned that it's one of the more consistently toxic plants in ordinary yards. Nearly every part of a yew is toxic to humans, dogs, cats, and horses. Leaves, bark, and seeds all contain compounds that act directly on the heart. The one exception is the soft red flesh around the seed, which isn't toxic itself, but the seed inside it absolutely is. That distinction matters because the bright red berries are attractive to kids and birds alike. Yew is widely used for hedging across cooler regions of the country, sold cheaply at hardware stores and nurseries as a standard privacy screen. The mistake people make isn't the initial planting. It's assuming that because a hedge has been there for years without incident, it must be broadly safe. Yew poisoning shows up consistently in veterinary emergency data, especially in dogs with unsupervised yard access. Arbor vitae is the go-to safer replacement. Same evergreen structure, similar hardiness range, dramatically safer profile. Plant 6. Monkshood. Monkshood looks completely harmless. In fact, it looks like exactly the kind of plant you'd want in a cutting garden. Tall spikes of deep blue-purple hooded flowers, thriving in shaded borders across cooler parts of the country. It's genuinely one of the most striking perennials you can grow. It's also considered by many experts to be one of the most acutely toxic plants commonly found in home gardens. The compound responsible, aconitine, doesn't just cause problems if you eat it. It can absorb through skin. That means pruning, dividing, or cutting stems for a bouquet with bare hands can be enough exposure to cause tingling and numbness, and in more serious cases, effects on the heart. It's sold at specialty perennial nurseries and farmers markets, often without any warning beyond a basic care tag. The real issue isn't the planting decision, it's the handling. If monkshood is in your garden, treat it as a gloves mandatory plant, always. No bare-handed pruning, ever. Plant 7. Castor bean. Castor bean is sold as a dramatic tropical foliage plant. Huge, deeply lobed leaves in green, bronze, and dark red purple, growing 6 to 10 feet in a single season. It's genuinely striking as a landscape statement. It's also the plant that ricin comes from, which makes its seeds among the most acutely toxic plant material you'll find in an ordinary backyard. The seeds are contained in spiny, eye-catching pods, exactly the kind of thing that draws a curious kid's attention. Even a small number of chewed seeds poses a serious risk to a child. For an adult gardener handling the plant with basic care, the foliage itself isn't the main concern. It's the seed pods. It's grown as an annual almost everywhere, and as a perennial in the warmest regions. If you've got young children, the seed pods alone are reason enough to keep this one out of accessible garden space, or skip it entirely. Canna lily gives you comparable dramatic foliage without the seed toxicity. Now we're getting to the plant I mentioned at the start, the one sitting quietly in ordinary yards that almost nobody flags as a risk. Actually, it's a pair of plants, because they share exactly the quality that makes them worth understanding. They're soft, romantic, and so closely tied to classic garden imagery that their toxicity feels almost unbelievable. Before we get there, think of one person in your life who gardens, or who has young kids or pets outside. Don't type out an explanation, just send them this video. That single action could prevent a genuinely bad afternoon. Plant 8. Pokeweed. Pokeweed is a native plant so large and dramatic that people often assume something growing that vigorously along a fence line must be useful, or at least harmless. It can reach 10 feet tall, its stems turn a striking magenta pink by midsummer, and its dark purple-black berries hang in long clusters that look, to an untrained eye, exactly like edible wild fruit. They're not. Every part of the plant is toxic, the roots most severely, but the berries and leaves carry real risk too, especially for kids who mistake the berries for something like elderberries or blueberries. It shows up uninvited in unmaintained areas and disturbed soil, and it comes back aggressively from its taproot even after you cut it down. Full removal means digging out the entire root system with gloves. Plant 9. Water hemlock. This one is in a different category of dangerous entirely. Many toxicologists consider water hemlock the most acutely toxic plant native to North America. It grows in wet areas, stream banks, pond edges, wet meadows, roadside ditches, and it's regularly mistaken by foragers for edible relatives like wild parsnip or wild carrot, because the flower clusters look so similar. The toxin involved can cause violent convulsions within minutes of ingestion. If you've got a stream, pond, or wet section of your property, figuring out whether water hemlock is growing there is one of the more genuinely important things you can do for the safety of anyone who forages or lets kids explore near water on your land. Plant 10. Bleeding heart. Last on the list, and one of the most beloved spring perennials out there. Bleeding heart. Arching stems, heart-shaped pink and white flowers, delicate fern-like foliage. It's stunning, and it's often marketed as the perfect whimsical plant for a kid's garden because of the playful flower shape. It's also entirely toxic. The alkaloids in bleeding heart affect the nervous system and can cause convulsions in animals. Cats, dogs, and grazing livestock are all documented cases. In children, a significant amount ingested can cause both stomach upset and, in larger quantities, more serious neurological effects. It grows almost everywhere in the country, which makes it one of the most widespread plants on this list. If you love it, and it's genuinely a beautiful plant, the practical move is simple. Know what it is, and treat that section of the garden as a handle with care zone that everyone in the household understands. Solutions segment. The whole point of this video was never to leave you with 10 problems and no direction. So here's what to plant instead. For a formal hedge, Arbor Vitae replaces yew with similar structure and far less risk. For summer color, Pentas replaces Lantana. For dramatic tropical foliage, Canna lily replaces Castor bean. For cottage garden height, Lupine replaces Foxglove. For a shaded border with real presence, Tall garden phlox replaces Monkshood. The alternatives exist, and none of them ask you to sacrifice the look you actually wanted. 3 common mistakes. Even once you know all 10 of these plants, there are 3 mistakes people still make. First, assuming removal solves the problem instantly. Pokeweed regrows from any leftover taproot, and several of these plants leave seed or root material behind that can resurface the following season. Removing what you can see is the start of the job, not the end of it. Second, swapping in a safer plant without checking the specific variety. The general category, Arbor Vitae instead of yew, Pentas instead of Lantana, is the right move, but variety still matters for things like mature size, bloom, and hardiness in your zone. Spend the same 15 minutes researching the replacement that you would on anything else going in your yard for the next decade. Third, and this is the big one, not telling the other people who touch your yard. You watch this video, you make the right calls, you replace the risky plants. But if the person who mows the lawn, or the neighbor who helps with the garden, or your teenager, doesn't know what changed and why, the value of everything you just learned stops with you. That conversation takes 4 minutes, and it's worth having. That's the list. 10 plants, real risks, real replacements. If this helped you look at your yard a little differently, hit like, It's the simplest way to get this in front of another family before they plant something risky this weekend. Drop your state and the plant that surprised you most in the comments. I read every one, and I'll get back to you with guidance specific to your growing zone. And if you're not subscribed to Harvest Root yet, this is exactly the kind of grounded, practical plant knowledge we put out every week. No fear-mongering, just information you can actually use. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.